All right, testing, 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. All right. So hello everybody, welcome back to Office Hours for November 4th, 2015. I will be your TA this evening, Josh as usual. Sorry for the little introduction. I know I've been kind of lacking in the online and video office hours for a while. My apologies. As a scholar student, I do have to go to these events, so I've been a little behind on that. And ours, as you know, Monday was email only. So I will make sure that the ones in the upcoming week are using the Google Hangouts. So it is more effective for me to leave valuable feedback for you guys, or if you want to reference the material that was used in office hours. It's easier for you guys to find that file on the YouTube page. Again, that's JE Good as the user. You can search that on YouTube. And this is will be a lecture, or the office hours could act as a lecture that will be pre-recorded on that YouTube page. So if you always navigate to that, you can find these lectures again. Anyway, going back to the normal format, welcome back to Office Hours. As usual, if you have any questions, please post it in the chat. It'll go to my email. I'll answer it as soon as I can and get back to you as I can and throughout the night. I believe Project 4 was due, if I am correct, last week. We will be getting those grades back to you guys relatively soon, so hopefully you guys will be able to see that. If you have any questions or comments, you can always contact me, or you can always contact Alex or Dr. Schmidt, so that'll be good for you guys. Exam 2 grading, we have those as well, so that'll be good for you guys. We'll get those grades back to you hopefully by tomorrow evening, Friday morning at the latest. I'm not going to put a bet on anything, but that's the expected time frame. So tomorrow evening or Friday morning, hopefully you guys will get your exam 2 grades back. You can look over those. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to email me, Dr. Schmidt, Alex, or the CSU 116 support group. We'll be happy to go over questions with you. But anyway, for tonight, I believe you guys also have Project 5 open. Again, let me double check on that. Just give me 1 sec. Let's see if that's open already. And indeed it is. So yes, Project 5 is open. I will be happily answering any questions you have with Project 5. So if you have any specific questions with that, it looks like a really interesting project with the image editor and the movie selector. So that looks actually really cool. Kind of looks like what we did a couple years ago. And yeah, so if you have any questions about that, or if you have any questions about assignments or homework, please feel free to hit me up. So sorry for the long-winded introduction. Let's have a great office hours, guys. I will be here until 7. basically that's it. That sounds good to me. Okay, looks like we got our first question. Sorry I didn't notice that earlier. All right, yeah, absolutely. So are you still in the chat? Excellent. Okay, so we actually have two people. I'm great to see people are here for Office Hours. All right. So by special request, we have a student who wants to go over questions 3, 4, and 8 from the pre-lab. So I will gladly open this up now. I believe he said that was from pre-lab, what was it? Pre-lab 17? 3, 4, and 8 from the pre-lab. Yep, I will go over that right now. So 3, 4, and 7 from the pre-lab. Take a look at that. So let's take a look at that really quickly. Okay, so the questions here are, we are considering the following array, and we are looking at the value for, sorry if my mic sounds a little bit far away. Let's start with number 3 really quickly. So we have number 3. And the pre-lab, the question is, what is the value of total after the following loops complete? If the loop throws an exception, state the type of exception. So let's scroll down to number 3. Remember that we have a single or a one-dimensional integer array. We have an A with the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Scroll down to 3. We're going to say int total is set to 0. And then for 9 times throughout the array, we're going to look and say, okay, so for the first time here, I set to 1, I is less than 10, so we're good. So we're going to say I, we're going to increment 2, basically, but we'll get to that in a minute. So we're going to say total is going to be total plus AI, or in this case, we can just say total plus equals A at I. So we're going to look at the first value at I. So total is first going to be set to, it's 0, so we're going to 0. The first element at I, because we're looking at 1. 1 in the array list is going to be the second element, or in the array, so we're going to add 2. So moving on then, I'm actually going to write the array down so I can, well, that should be fine. So moving on, we're going to increment. So the elements that we're going to get are 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, because we can never go above 10, right? So the elements to add are 1, 3, 7, 5, and 9 at those specific indexes. So the index at 3 is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. That's going to be 4. The next index to add is going to be one skip over, is going to be 4 again. The next index to add is going to be 5, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold on, actually, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, my bad, 6, 7. 7 is going to be 2. And then 9 is going to be the last element in that array, which is going to be 0. So if we add those all up, we have 2 plus 4 plus 4 plus 2, so that's 2, 6, 10, 12. And so our total is going to be 12. So that's how you do that one. I'm actually going to send a quick question to the student just to make sure that they are actually hearing me. Are we all good? You guys can hear me? I'm sure my mic is fine. Yeah, so the answer to number 3 is going to be 12 because we are getting the elements. Remember that the elements of the array are exactly like the character elements in a string. We start from 0 and we go all the way up until 1 minus, or size minus 1. So I'm going to make sure really quickly. Just make sure you get it right. cannot type tonight, apparently. And now just tell me if I need to speak up a little bit. So we can move on to number 4. And for that student, I will also post this in the chat so you guys can see the solutions. This should already be passed, so we should be fine. Moving on to number 4, looking at the next loop. We're going to reset our int to 0. So for int is going to be set to 0, or in total, I should say, is going to be set to 0. So now we have total is reset. So we're going to start at 2 this time, and we're actually going to go up till 10, and we're going to increment accordingly. So we're still going to do total is plus the element at I. So starting at element 2, going all the way through 10, because it's I less than or equal to 10, it's going to be the elements at positions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So that is going to be, it's going to be, if we look at those positions, 0, 1, 2, 2 is going to start at 3, and we're just going to do a summation all the way through 10. So 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1, and finally plus 0, because that is the last element in there, all the way up through 10. Here's the problem, though. So actually, we do have a problem. And for this one, if I am correct, yeah, here's going to be our problem. So normally, if we were only going up till 9, because that is the size of the array, we would stop at 9 and we would be able to add 3 through 0 in this case, because those are the elements at positions 2 through 9. However, we are going outside of the index of the array. Now, Java has a special thing called an index out of bounds exception. So that is a checked runtime exception, or I should say a checked exception. It's a little different than a runtime exception. That basically says if you are outside of the index of an array at any point when testing through it, it's going to throw that exception because that index does not exist in the array. So technically, because we are going to element 10 and we can't get the element at 10, which would be the size, it's going to throw the index out of bounds exception because of that. So instead, at this point, total will not be, if you were to add all that up, 3, 4, that's going to be 7, 12, 16, 19, 21, 22. Unfortunately, that will not work because of the index out of bounds, so it will be an index out of bounds exception. So just to make sure you guys are hearing me all right. Excellent. Okay, good. I was just making sure you guys are hearing me. I will also resend this to you guys, so I'll just type it up again. So we covered 3, 4. The last one was 8. So we look at number 8. Again, total is set to 0. So we have an initial total start. Okay, so just to clarify, though, we're all good with the index out of bounds, right? If you need any more clarification, I can actually do another example with that. But we'll move on to number 8 for the moment. So we're looking at 8. Again, total is set to 0. So we're starting back at where we started again. And now we're going to do for int I set to 0. I is less than 10, so we're going to go right from 0 to 9, which is all the elements in the array list. So we're not going to get an index out of bounds exception, which is good. We're going to increment I every time. So we're going to do total is going to be set to AI minus the total. So this is a little tricky that it's not just doing plus equals. So we actually have to consider the total each time. So for the first time, we have the total set to 0. And for the first element, we have AI minus the total. So AI at the 0th element for the first element in the list is going to be 1. So we have 1 minus the total, 1 minus 0 is 0. Or 1 minus 0 is 1. Basic math out the window, apparently. And then we're going to update that again. So that was the first time. The second time we go through, remember we're going to do this 9 times because we are going through the number of elements in the list. Or 10 times, I should say, because we're going through the number of elements in the list. My apologies, length. So the second time is going to be the total. Our previous total by recursion is 1. Minus the second element in the list is going to be 2. So it's going to be, or sorry, my bad. AI minus the total. See, even I get screwed up. This is why it's extremely helpful to keep your elements and your positions in the array list in the array itself and the for loop in check. So it's going to be the second element minus the total. We get So we update that again. The third time around, we have our total is 1. The third element is 0, 1, 2, 3, so that's going to be 3. So 3 minus 1 is 2. We go the fourth time around. Our fourth element in the list is going to be 4. So that's going to be 4 minus 2, our total from last time, that's 2. We go to the fifth element now. The fifth element, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is going to be 5. 5 minus 2 is our total from last time, that's 3. For the sixth element in the list, our sixth element is going to be 4. Minus our total last time is 3. That's 1. Updating again, we go to our seventh element, so on and so forth. That's going to be 3. So that's going to be 3 minus 3, or 3 minus 1, my apologies, because last we had 1. That's going to be 2. Going to our eighth element, we have 2. So we have 2 minus our previous answer, which is 2, and 0. And then to our last 2, we go to our ninth element, which is going to be, so starting from our index, if we were to go, that's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Second last element, it's going to be 1. Again, index 8, just to clarify. So we're not all confused about how the array works. 1 minus our total is 0. Or 1 minus 0 is 1. My apologies. Yeah, so our total was 0. Our element there is 1 minus 0 is 1. Don't mean to confuse anybody there. And then let's see. Okay. So yeah, Russell, I will answer your question in a sec. Let me just finish this up really quickly. There is a way you can catch it with a try-catch if you wanted to do it, and I will get back to that really quickly. So finally, to add, we have our 10th element. So our element at 10 is going to be 0, and our total is 1. So that 0 minus 1 is -1. So the total for that loop, after that's outputted and updated from the array, total is going to be -1 at that point. So that's how we get that. That can be a little confusing. You just have to make sure you know what you're subtracting from and what operations you're doing based on what's going on in the for loop. So to go back to your question, Russell, is there an exception that you can deal with via try-catch or throws clause, or will fill it regardless? It really depends on the context. So if we actually go back and look at, I believe that was question number 4. Let's say for an example in the program, you have an array, one-dimensional array list, one-dimensional int array list, and you want to do something special with it. But we don't know the number of elements in an array list. So, or array. I don't know why I keep saying array list. We're doing something in 216 right now with array list. That's why. So for the array, we know we can initialize it by saying int with the 2 brackets, which specifies our int array. Whatever we're going to call the variable is equal to, again, int, the 2 brackets, because that's how we create a new. We don't use a new keyword. We'll get to that later. And within that is going to be the number of elements for that list. Well, let's say, for example, we don't know, or we have a parameter that we can pass it, and this will create an array through this method. So we can say that we have, let's say the user passes in an array length of 11, and we're going to use the same for loop that we used for question number 4. So now that our array length is 11, we have elements starting with index 0 going all the way through index 10. Actually, sorry, let me try that again, because actually that will work for the array index. Let's say the user enters an element with 10 elements. So the user enters 10 elements into the array like we have for our example, and we're going through the same for loop. So at that point, we can say that it's starting at 2, and it's going to go all the way up to element 10. Well, the problem is we're looking at the index I, and I can only be 0 through 9 since we have 10 elements based on the indexes in that array. And because of that, if we go to the 10th element and A at I doesn't exist, then that's out of the potential limit or maximum number of indexes, maximum index value, I should say, for that array. So that will throw the index out of bounds exception. Now, let's say in the program that you wanted to throw a try-catch block to deal with that. Yeah, you actually could. So you could try. You could go through the loop and you notice, okay, this could potentially throw an index out of bound exception given the parameter a student could pass in. So given that we had the parameter 9, we get the index out of bound exception, we can catch that. So remember how we throw that try, catch, in parentheses, index out of bound exception E, and you can do something meaningful with that expression. Maybe you want to print out the stack trace, which is where that's storing the error. We can print out the message that you want to say. So maybe it's something in a program saying like, down, do something special with that. You can print that to the console, or you can print that to, let's say, if you were using some kind of GUI, you can print something to the GUI. So there's always something you can do that way. You can also use the throws clause. So yeah, you could say whatever your method is with parameters throws index out of bounds exception in the case that the parameter has the potential, given the user input, to throw the index out of bounds. But in this case, because we're not handling it, it will kill the program. So the answer to your question, yes, it will kill the program in this case, but there are ways that you can use try catch blocks or throws clause to handle that exception in another program or based on different user cases. So hopefully that clears it up a little bit. Let me know if I need to present any more examples. Excellent. Okay, good. Or yeah. So if you can respond to that, or just kind of give me a heads up, like, did that answer it? Do I need to be a little more thorough? I can gladly give you another example if I need to, because arrays are extremely useful. Like once you understand how to manage arrays and the power behind them, it's extremely helpful. Okay, so I guess that helps explain it. Okay, so hopefully that clears that up. I can give you another example for the array if you want. Just shoot me another kind of message through the chat if you want to see more examples. But yeah, again, you can always use a try catch block if you want to, or in another instance you don't have to, technically. So yeah, that basically kind of covers that extension for arrays. Any other questions? That's some cool stuff. We got about 15, maybe a little bit less, 14 more minutes before office hours end. Keep those questions coming. It's a really good question. I know a lot of people get confused on arrays. I did when I started learning them. So yes, that is an excellent question when it comes to handling array index out of bounds exceptions. Yeah. Cool. All right. Everybody's got their good projects going on, hopefully. That actually seemed really interesting. You guys are doing a movie selector, which we are actually doing something very similar in 2.16. We're actually doing a Netflix-based model using a bunch of different classes and GUIs that we're programming. So, I mean, we're all kind of on the same page, which is great, because by this time next year, if you guys do plan to continue on in your exploration of computer science, you may end up doing something similar, which is actually really cool. So I do like it that they are pairing the 1.16 projects with the 2.16 on a kind of similar note. It's actually really cool. Maybe it's pure coincidence, but yeah. Hopefully that answers your question. the way, let me know if there's anything else you're kind of confused on, or if you have any more questions regarding labs or projects or anything. I'm here till 7. I'm always open. Feel free to shoot me an email after office hours too. I should be able to answer. Cool. So I will notify you guys again that there's roughly about 10 minutes, a little less in office hours right now. So if you have any final questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. Thanks. right, ladies and gentlemen, 3, 2, 1. That is it for our office hours. Yeah, so thank you guys for joining me again. As always, if you have any extended questions beyond what we have covered here in office hours this evening, please feel free to email me at my personal email, or please send an email to the CSC116 support email, or post to Piazza. We're always looking at Piazza, so do not be afraid. Yeah, just post. We're always looking. We're always trying to answer stuff. So thank you guys for joining me so much. I will see you all next Monday for another fabulous office hour. So take care, guys. Have a good one.